Both seated and ready to go. So Representative Cline, we would welcome your opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm here today to discuss H.R. 7511, the Laken Riley Act. Less than 2 weeks ago, Laken Riley, an avid runner, went for her morning jog around the Lake Herrick Trail in Athens, Georgia. When she didn't return home, her roommate called the police, fearing the worst. Authorities soon found her body in a wooded area just off the running trail with her skull crushed. Just last Friday, Laken's parents laid their daughter to rest, their lives forever altered by the senseless and depraved actions of a criminal. After Laken's alleged murderer, Jose Ibarra, illegally crossed the southwest border in 2022, the Biden administration released him, paroling him into the country rather than detaining him as required by law. Later, this illegal alien was arrested in New York for endangering a child and driving without a license. There, too, police released him, and Immigration and Customs Enforcement did not arrest or detain him. Mere months before Laken's murder, Ibarra was again arrested in Georgia on shoplifting charges. But again, he was quickly released by police, and ICE did not arrest or detain him. But when Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas was asked whether this criminal alien should have been deported, he merely stated that his agency, quote, works closely, end quote, with law enforcement to ensure individuals who pose a threat to public safety are considered the highest priority for detention and removal. What the Secretary conveniently didn't mention is that at his direction, as laid out in a September 30th, 2021 memo to DHS employees, ICE cannot prioritize for removal criminal aliens like Jose Ibarra until after they commit a serious crime. The truth is, under President Biden and Secretary Mayorkas' lax immigration enforcement policies, even if local authorities in Georgia and New York had turned Ibarra over to ICE, Ibarra would not have been a priority for immigration enforcement, and it's unlikely that he would have been arrested, detained, or removed by ICE based on the crimes he committed. Today, we are considering the Laken Riley Act to change that. H.R. 7511 requires the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security to take into custody illegal aliens who have been charged with, arrested for, or convicted of theft offenses as Laken Riley's alleged murderer was. This legislation mandates that ICE detain such aliens until they can be removed from the country. H.R. 7511 further requires DHS to issue a detainer for these illegal aliens and take custody of them, quote, effectively and expeditiously. Through a detainer, ICE requests cooperation from local law enforcement to ensure that ICE can take custody of the alien when the alien is released by local authorities. H.R. 7511 also ensures that states have standing to bring civil actions against open borders executive branch officials who refuse to enforce the nation's immigration laws. I want to thank my colleagues, Mr. Bishop and Mr. Roy, for their work on H.R. 7322, the Sue for Immigration Enforcement Act, which represents a critical component of this legislation. By releasing Laken Riley's alleged killer into the United States in 2022, the Biden administration violated the parole and detention requirements in existing immigration laws. While H.R. 2, the Secure the Border Act, is passed by the House, would ensure that the Biden administration could no longer abuse the law in this way. H.R. 7511 adds another layer of protection to make sure that immigration laws are followed. The Laken Riley Act provides states standing to bring a civil action against federal officials for the failure to enforce several immigration statutes, including mandatory detention requirements at the border, case-by-case parole authority, and visa sanctions against countries that refuse to accept the return of their nationals who have been ordered removed. In so doing, H.R. 7511 responds to the Supreme Court's 2023 ruling in U.S. v. Texas, in which the court held that states did not have standing to challenge the Biden administration's open borders immigration enforcement policies. Standing provisions of the Laken Riley Act follow the roadmap set forth in the court's holding by specifically authorizing suits against the executive branch brought by a narrowly defined set of plaintiffs, the states, and authorizing the judiciary to enter appropriate orders. As such, this legislation will ensure that harmful abuses of our immigration laws, in fact, those policies set forth by the Biden administration that are in direct conflict with the plain meaning of our current laws, will not go unchallenged. H.R. 7511 also honors Laken Riley's life and her positive impact on her community. It includes a sense of Congress that our nation mourns the devastating loss of Laken and all other victims of the Biden border crisis. The bill urges the president to denounce his failed policies and re-implement the effective border security measures that he dismantled upon entering office. No law passed by this body can bring Laken back. or take away the pain suffered by her family and countless other victims of criminal alien crime. The Laken Riley Act, however, will ensure that illegal aliens who committed theft offenses, as Laken's alleged murderer did, cannot be shielded by the lax immigration enforcement policies of the Biden administration. The Laken Riley Act also provides a much-needed avenue to hold open borders executive branch officials accountable for violating the immigration laws to the detriment of American citizens. How many more bills named after victims of illegal alien crime must the House consider before Democrats and the Biden administration act to secure our borders and prevent other senseless tragedies like this one? Thank you, and I look forward to answering your questions.
Thank you very much. Ranking Member Nadler.